Hello, everybody. We're still here on the Voice of SEC. Keep my name up as I gonna check audio. Why is this game on ESPN Plus? I will never know. That's tough for everybody involved.
Win money on sports with Underdog.
I don't care. How is everybody doing tonight? Let some people pile in as we get this. We got a busy night tonight. There's some recruiting news to talk about. There's some college football. Okay, we're good. There's some college football recruiting news to talk about. Obviously, the rivalry with Oklahoma is renewed this week. It's going to be a lot of fun Saturday night in Columbia. I wish I could go, but tickets are like approximately $1 billion. I was not able to go, but I'll be here live after the game, obviously. I see some people are piling in. This is an old jersey of mine. I actually lost enough weight where it fits again. This is Kim English. I bought this in the Kim English era. I was in high school. It actually fits again, which is so nice. I'm a dork and I wear long sleeves. So we're going to break down OU. Obviously, this is a football-centered YouTube channel, so we're going to focus on the football tonight with OU, but we will have the Missouri basketball game on. When we kind of get through the OU stuff, we'll hang out. Because we're going to be here 2 hours. I could talk about OU for a long time, but we're going to hang out. We'll talk. We can talk about some Mizzou football memories. We can talk about and we'll talk about the basketball game, obviously. But let's keep it focused on football for the time being. So the Missouri Tigers welcome Oklahoma to Columbia for the first time in 14 years. My, what a long time ago it has been. The rivalry is back. The Tiger Sooner Peace Pipe. Welcome back. It's been really hostile online between the two fan bases lately, and we'll get into a bit of that. But it's back, man. And wow, that camera at Memphis stinks. This corner cam. But it's back for the first time since 2011 when OU did beat Mizzou 38-28 in Norman, the year after Mizzou beat OU in Columbia. 36-27, Blaine Gabbert's shining moment. Yeah, he was amazing that night. The running game was amazing that night. James Franklin scored a touchdown in that game. I watch that game on YouTube from time to time because I'm a dork. But this is a rivalry. It's not OU's biggest rival. It's not Mizzou's biggest rival, obviously. I mean, OU's got huge rivalries with huge rivalry with Texas and Oklahoma State. Mizzou's got a big one with Illinois, and it's a big one with Kansas. But it is a rivalry. These two fan bases do not like each other. And yes, the rivalry historically has been very one-sided. But these two fan bases that don't like each other, some of it does stem from basketball, especially from the 70s and 80s. And it's a rivalry I'm happy to see back. It's the rare instance in conference realignment where we've seen a rivalry get separated and then it's brought back together. Now, obviously, Mizzou's kind of the little brother here. I don't think I'm saying anything crazy about that right now. But chance for a big win. OU's really struggling this year. Mizzou's had their struggles. We'll get into it. There's a couple big questions on the horizon for this weekend. But it's cool that this game is going to be back. And it's going to be in Columbia. It's awesome that the first game is going to be in Columbia. It's going to be at night. That crowd's going to be wild. I know the Missouri season hasn't quite gone how everyone had hoped. I mean, to be fair, I had them at 6-2 at this point. But in the games against Power 5 teams, they've just kind of looked like crap. And OU, I thought, might struggle this year just because of I don't think they were that good last year. I mean, they won 10 games, but I didn't know how and they had a brutal schedule, more so the brutal schedule. And then they've just had so many injuries at wide receiver. Their O-line wasn't very good, which a lot of people tried to tell them their O-line was going to be good, but that is what it is. Their quarterback play has been up and down. So it's gonna be an interesting night. Now OU does have an awesome defense, but we can break all that down here in a second. I believe OU is going to be I think so too. Every year they're going to play. Now, when that switch happens, I don't know, because I don't know if they're going to play in 26 and 27. Obviously, they're going to play in 25. Mizzou will go to Norman, but I don't know if – I think they're switching things. So I think Mizzou will play Texas those 2 years, because that's just how the world's going to work right now. Tamar Bates 3 off the side of the backboard. Oh, boy. That's just how the world works right now with conference realignment. Like, I don't know how long like the hiatus is going to be. Like, they're going to play these 2 years. I don't know if they're going to play in 26, 27. Kind of depends when the SEC does go to that model or goes to the 9-team conference schedule. We'll just see. But no, it's super cool that it's back. It is a rivalry. These are fan bases that do not like each other. And we'll get into some of the reasons why in 2024 these two teams, just their fan bases and coaches. I don't think the coaches like each other. Well, let's start on the Mizzou side, the QB situation. I read a lot. I see a lot. I follow a lot of people on Twitter, and I've been fortunate enough to have some opportunities in life where I can talk to people and get some understanding of how things are going to work. I do not think Brady Cook is going to play Saturday. He got a second X-ray that tends to lend credence to the fact that he's hurt. It was his hand, obviously. He's still got the hamstring or the ankle issue, excuse me. But he's hurt, and I just do not think he's going to be available. So it's going to be Drew Pine. What does that mean? It means that OU fans, Mizzou fans, we as a collective, is going to be an ugly game, because I know OU had a decent night against Maine. Get serious. It was Maine. I mean, Jackson Arnold is the QB. We'll see what happens this offseason with them and Hawkins and their QB situation. And Mizzou's in the same spot, but at least OU knows it has a guy, depending on who leaves. But I with Drew Pine in the game, how many points is it going to take to win against Oklahoma? Is it going to take 17 points? Like, Oklahoma's got a great defense. It really does. OU has got an awesome defense. Can Mizzou with Drew Pine get to 17 points? Can they get to 20 points? I have doubts. So that means that defense that Mizzou has is going to need to play its tail off. Big salute. Yes, sir. Thank you, Bishop Frank. Thank you so much. I don't know what for, but I appreciate it. Appreciate you be hopping in here. God, my hair's a mess. But the QB situation is going to be interesting to watch if it is Drew Pine, and I'm fully led to believe it's Drew Pine. Now, if I'm Brent Venables, I'm preparing for Brady Cook, and then if Drew Pine plays, you just adjust. Like, you can adjust to Drew Pine. He's just not good. And so the Missouri offensive line is going to need to have a night. And that includes Caden Green, and he's a big reason why things have gotten so hostile between these two fan bases over the last calendar year. Not even the last, calendar year, basically, because I remember where I was when Caden Green announced. A lot of situation going on there, and then OU fans calling Caden Green's leaving bad reviews on Caden Green's dad's business. And it's gotten a lot of accusations of tampering. It just was a really ugly situation online. Now, and personally, I don't think – Tony Perkins is playing. Okay, cool. I don't think it was that big of it's just a transfer. And then Mizzou also has Theo Weiss, who could have went to the NFL last year. I think we all know why he didn't go to the NFL last year, and it was to play in this game. And to be fair to OU, when healthy, Oklahoma's got an awesome wide receiver core. It's just not healthy. So those guys, and we've been asking for it all year, those guys will need to step up. Burden and Weiss need to have their best game of the year. If they don't, Mizzou's not going to win this game, barring an unbelievable defensive effort. And that includes like a touchdown defensively. Like those two need to be great because of the quarterback situation. Sooners. Man, I'm excited for this game. Like it's gonna be an ugly game, but like it's gonna be so cool to see these two teams on the field again. I would be shocked if this game is like 31-34. Because OU's defense is awesome, and I don't think their offense is very good. Mizzou's defense is pretty good, but I think OU's offense kind of stinks. Maybe Tommy Reese was better than we all thought for winning games. Yeah, they did win. He went 8-2 as a starter. Before the season, and we'll keep talking about Drew Pine here, I was actually kind of excited about Drew Pine, not because I thought Drew Pine was like some great quarterback, but I legitimately did think like, okay, he's a guy where if Cook misses a couple games, and this is before the season, you have to remember that. I'm like, if Cook misses, at the time, I was thinking any Boston College, Vandy, Murray State, Buffalo, UMass, Mississippi State, and like any of those games, Drew Pine could probably win you those games because I think he's a pretty decent quarterback. Last year at Arizona State, I didn't put any of that blame on him because Arizona State just had a ton of issues. And good for them for getting bowl eligible. Kenny Dillingham knows what he's doing. He seems pretty competent. But he's come in here and he's just looked inept. And now, again, he got thrown into the fire on the road against Alabama. Like, that's not exactly maybe the most fair evaluation. Like, now he has a full week. He knows he's going to be the starter. If he is the starter, Cook may play. I just kind of reading tea leaves. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to play. But the other thing that's going to need to be strong is the run game. Now, I haven't seen anything about Nate Noel. If there was something, I just missed it. I do work, I do work at a bank, so I do work 9 or 8:30 to 5:30. I can't be on my phone all the time. So if I just miss something, I miss something, but I haven't seen anything about his availability for this week. If I was Mizzou in the run game, and I guess we're kind of moving off more towards the offense than just the QB situation, but I guess it all has kind of if I'm Mizzou, I know if Nate Noel doesn't play, the goal is going to be to play Marcus Carroll, who is a good running back, but he's like a power back who I don't think is apt for this kind of game. I think in this kind of game, Mizzou's, and that could be Lacey, and you can burn his red shirt, which I don't think they want to do. But Tavares Jones has had some nice moments, and he works hard apparently in practice, and he, Drink says all the right things about him. And Jamal Roberts have a little bit more burst. I want to see them, especially in a game like this where points are going to be at a premium. Like OU's defense is really good. They're safe. They might have the best safety tandem in the country, besides maybe Ohio State. Zone run. I mean, yeah, that's what they do. They do that. Drink loves that outside stretch zone. He's been running it since day one with Larry Roundtree. I want to see more of an explosibility because points, they're going to be at a premium, guys. They just are. Like, I don't think either team's offense has the ability to go out there and put up 30 points. And even if Brady Cook was healthy, I still think decent chance points are at a premium because this offense hasn't shown me anything this year that they can go score 30 points against a really good defense. Like Billy Bowman back there, like it's a strong defense, and that's what gives me concern. My biggest concern for Mizzou offensively, and this is going back to the QB, if they turn the ball over, wow, my voice got really high there. If they turn the ball over there and they give OU short fields, which can happen because they got some guys in that secondary, and Danny Stutzman's a good running back, or good linebacker, sorry. And Kip Lewis has had good moments. Like, their defensive line hasn't always been the greatest, but like their back seven's as good as a lot of teams in the country. I don't know how effective trying to run the ball for 4 yards at a time. And there's going to be some gadget stuff they do. As David, and I bring that up because I see David in the comment section. I would use Bird in a lot of different ways, screens, end arounds, put him in the backfield. This is the game Weiss came back for. This is the game Burden came back for. I know you thought you had a shot at the playoff, and I don't think you have it right now. But this game, Burden needs 15 touches. I don't care if he goes for 40 yards. At least you tried. 15 touches for Luther Burden. It can be on Wildcat. It can be on end arounds, screens. It does not matter. No, you're good. I saw. I thought I said that. I'm like, okay, good. He isn't, because I was like, we're not doing this again. And he missed a 3, and they got a board and kicked it out to Bates. Burden needs the ball 15 touches. And Weiss, you probably need to manufacture 7 to 8 touches. Now, again, he's not a guy that you're going to give a ball on an end around unless you're playing NCAA 25, but screens, just different things. Because this offense has shown no ability to throw the ball deep, and Burden's really not he has the ability to do it, but he's not like a route running deep threat guy. You need to get him the ball and let him make plays. Again, I'm saying this a lot, but I don't think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. Get your best players the ball as many times as you can. What are we reviewing here? It's a good follow by Grill. It's just a good team. Like, it's just a good defense. And with Drew Pine, man, like, you're just going to need to be able to put up points. And I don't know how you're going to do it entirely, but here we go. But defensively, I think Mizzou is set up to have a big game. If I'm Johnny Walker, if I'm Chris McClellan, Zion Young, Nwaneri, if he gets snaps, Ja'Kai Lang, I am salivating, because that OU offensive line has been awful this year. It's been awful. And there's just, like, you can't fix a bad O-line at this point in the season. You can scheme around it and try, but you can't hide a bad O-line. And up and down, it's just been pretty bad. They haven't been able to run the ball, and Gavin Sawchuk, I thought I saw was hurt. I don't know. Saw something. But they haven't been able to run the ball effectively all year. They haven't been able to throw the ball effectively all year. If their defense, or if the Mizzou defense can play like they did for the first half against Bama before things just kind of fell apart because they were on the field for every other snap, I think that they can have a very strong performance, a super strong performance, and they're going to need it. Jackson Arnold is a really talented quarterback. And I keep seeing OU fans talk about, like, oh, the energy since they fired Seth Luttrell. I'm like, you played Maine. Like, God bless the Black Bears, and it would have been really funny if they beat Duke tonight, but you played Maine. Like, relax, guys. And they put up 60-something points or 50-something points. Like, they put up a big number, but I'm not taking that seriously. I'm sorry. But they do have their injury report hasn't come out. Like, I don't know if Nick Anderson's going to play, Deion Burks is going to play. They do have a lot of wide receiver issues, and that's a bigger part of why they've stunk. Because you can't – I mean, they're missing like 5 of their top 6 receivers. I mean, look, I have no love for OU, but, like, that's tough. I mean, it's so hard to overcome that. If Norwood has a good night, I think Mizzou's going to be okay defensively. Like, as long as they're not getting cooked. Deloach, Pride, Norwood, Burks, whoever. That's a foul. I think they're going to be okay. Defensively, I think Mizzou's in a really, really good spot to have a big week, like multiple sacks, multiple hurries. This game is going to look like a 2019 Mizzou football game, not 2015. If it looks like a 2015 Mizzou game, my God, none of you should watch that. Even if you're the biggest OU fan that's in here, which welcome. I know I've kind of been just pooping on your offense, but you guys have too. So, I said a lot of complimentary things earlier about your defense, but Aiden Shaw, oh my God, he shot the ball, hit the bottom of the rim though. Where was I? Yeah, if the Mizzou secondary just limits the explosives, I think it's going to be okay. This is going to look like a 2019 Mizzou game where it's not going to be pretty, but like, can they move the ball? Can they do some things? Can they get to 17 points? This might be a first to 17 wins, and I don't have a score prediction off the top of my head because it is Monday. I'll kind of talk myself into it, but at this point, who do you trust to get to 17? And that just means flat. Like I said, this could be a first to 17. I'm not sure either of these teams can get to 17. I would lean OU because they have their starting quarterback, but they're missing all of their wide receivers. And they don't have a great running game, and their offensive line kind of stinks too. But I'm super confident in the fact that this game is not going to be played in the 20s or 30s. If it is, both DCs need to have long looks at each other and find new jobs. Neither of these teams' offenses have been good this year, and Mizzou with a backup quarterback and Jackson Arnold just playing the way he has. Maybe they did find something last week against Maine. I just have doubts because it's Maine. And, God bless the Black Bears, but right, they're the Black Bears? I don't even know. They make the tournament every once in a while. So, anyways, thanks for being here. Please like and subscribe. I hit the wrong thing. The Missouri channel, it's up and running. We'll put a link in the description. Just for this, we weren't able to kind of tie it in. So we'll be on the Mizzou channel Saturday for postgame. We will be live, right after the game. So that could be like 10 o'clock. So like and subscribe. Like and subscribe to all our channels, guys. The voice of college football is up and going. We are here, and we're not going anywhere. We're just continuing to grow. We're getting new channels like Missouri. Rutgers just got a channel. I'm fairly sure I saw Kentucky on the list of people that are getting a channel. Mark Mitchell, Aiden Shaw, Tony Perkins. It's an interesting lineup. But yeah, no, we're really excited about what's happening in this, and they still can't rebound in this environment, and we're only going to go up from here. So is there anything you guys wanted to talk about with OU before, we're going to talk about OU all night. I'm here until the basketball game's over. So we have like 2 more hours to talk about a lot of OU stuff and a lot of rivalry history. But is there anything else with OU you guys want to bring up right away? Because we're going to this is going to be a very chill night. We're going to talk. We're going to bring up some memories of OU Mizzou. A lot of them are pretty awful, to be honest. They just are. what we could talk a little bit about recruiting. It was announced that 4-star or 3-star, basically defensive tackle, defensive lineman, Joshua Lewis decommitted from Mizzou. That's, he wanted to be closer to home. Got a comment, but my comments are loading. I see your question, David. We'll get to it. Joshua Lewis decommits from Mizzou. It's never fun when a kid decommits. Apparently, he wanted to be closer to home, which is fine. Hope it works out for him. I never really root against a high school kid unless they go play basketball for Kansas. But best of luck to him. I think like Tulane was really in on him. So while it's never fun, best of luck to him. And then Matt Zollers was at Penn State, Ohio State. And I saw a lot of people, because he's a Pennsylvania kid and he's a highly rated quarterback, a lot of people were panicking. Oh, my God, what happens? And as far as I could tell and people I talked to, there was nothing to worry about. He got free travel, free sideline tickets, free food to watch a top 5 game. Granted, not in the greatest atmosphere because Fox demands that we have all our best games at noon because we have all these great Big Ten environments. But what if we just made them not fun anymore and put them at freaking noon like a bunch of monsters? No, I'm not. I'll come out there and say it. I don't care. And he came out today. He's like, I'm 100% committed to Missouri and the relationship that I built with the coaches there. So he's not going anywhere, guys. He will be on the campus next year. He'll probably redshirt because he's going to come off that injury to his ankle. But everything is okay with Matt Zollers. If you're projecting for Mizzou for the future, 2025, I don't think he's the starter. But 2026 on, I think he's going to go on the Drew Lock path where if he starts next year, if he has any playing time next year, might be a bit of a disaster, like Lock was in 15. And then I think 26, like Lock did in 16, Zollers will come in. Hopefully he does a better job than Locke did in 2016. And then 17, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I think he's on that path. Yeah, he'll be at Mizzou this weekend. He's 100% locked in. He's not going anywhere. He's a really talented kid, hell of an arm, good athlete. He is the QB of the future. Unless Aiden Glover turns out to be something, I just don't think he is. And granted, he's a 3-star freshman. Like, there's not a lot of 3-star freshmen starting. But this is maybe outside of Sam Horn was a pretty big one too, but Sam Horn's just not, just a bunch of bad luck happened with that kid. But Zollers is maybe the biggest not in-state recruiting win Drinkwitz has ever gotten. And by in-state, I also mean Illinois because I know Burden. It was a huge win, and I think he's going to be the guy in short order. Good leak out. Caleb Grill, throw it down. Misses a 3. I like Caleb Grill. He just plays super hard. This is going to suck to cut. But yeah, he's the quarterback of the future. He's a big win for Eli. Eli's going to give him every chance. It's not going to be like Sam Horn where Eli just preferred Brady Cook. And Brady Cook proved him right last year. Not so much this year, but Sam Horn's out with Tommy John. So what are you going to do? Because he plays baseball. And he probably should stick to baseball at this point. Like, he's a pretty good pitcher, man. Like, he shows some really good flashes. Okay, so that's recruiting. We can get back to OU and kind of just react to the basketball game. Play off your guys' comments. Let me see. I know I saw one. I guess we can stick with the recruiting here. Any good receivers or backs coming in? So running back, they did get Jamarian Morrow. They've got him to flip. Everyone thought he was going to Ole Miss, and then he picks Mizzou on his commitment date. Receiver-wise, Mizzou's always got receivers coming in, man. They got Donovan. I cannot pronounce his last name, from Florida. He's a super talented kid. Sean Terry is tearing it up in Ohio. as a 3-star kid. He's super talented. They're still, I think, trying to flip some kids, maybe like a Jacob Washington. They didn't really ever look at Isaiah Mosley after he picked Oregon and then he decommitted. Just kind of going through their recruit list. But those are the two main receivers. The one kid flipped to UCF, and then I think he decommitted from UCF. But I know they're looking for another running back in the class. There's currently a 3-star committed to Boise that they're trying to flip. Okay, so then we'll go back to OU because this is OU week as they force another turnover. Good job, Caleb. Aiden, good job, Aiden Shaw. Look at you taking it to the rim. Oh, my goodness. Do you think Venables is going to be the guy long-term at OU? I don't think so. They go like 7-6 2 years ago, and then last year they had a really good season, and this year, but I don't think this year's all his fault. I think they've had a lot of injury issues. 2-3 zone, they can't give that up. Trent Pierce is in the game. I think his OU tenure, like let's say they lose to Mizzou this weekend, they lose to Bama, they lose to LSU, and they so was that finishing like 5-7, 4-8. Let's look at their schedule real quick. I know they got Bama, I know they got LSU. Excuse me. Yeah, so they're 5-4. So they need to win one to get to a bowl game. If they lose to Mizzou, they're not going to make a bowl because they got Bama and LSU. So they go 5-7, firmly on the hot seat going into 20. Josh Gray, you were brought in to grab boards like that, my friend. Firmly on the hot seat, and I think his entire OU tenure is going to come down to his OC hire. Joe John Finley is not going to be the guy next year. He's just not. Aiden Shaw came to play. Love seeing that from the kid. It's going to come down to his OC hire next year. And if he hires a good OC, like, I don't know who's all coming back for them. Like, I don't have their scholarship chart in front of me. But if some of these wide receivers come back, like Anderson, Deion Burks gets a waiver or whatever, if he comes back, their offense is super talented next year. OU, I see a lot of similarities between this OU team and 2012 Mizzou. Mizzou came in, they had a tough schedule. Like in 2012, I'll remind everybody, Mizzou had to play top 10 Georgia, top 10 South Carolina on the road. Florida was a top 10 team. They had to play them on the road. They ended up having to play top 10 Texas A&M on the road. They had to play top 5 Bama at home. Like that's 5 top 10 teams on the schedule, and then they lost 2 coins. They lost to who else did they lose to? They lost to Syracuse. That was a bad one. And then they lost to beat Tennessee. Oh, they lost to Vandy, who was top 25 at the end of the year. So they lost to 6 top 25 teams, 5 top 10 teams. And if you're Oklahoma, you lost to top 5 Texas, you lost to top 10 Tennessee. You did get boat raced by South Carolina. That one kind of hurts. But their O-line has just been so bad. They're just been injuries galore. They can't figure out the quarterback situation. I would not be shocked if next year with a little bit, it's not going to be a more favorable schedule, but kind of a year of, okay, we're in this. We know what we're doing now. We know what it takes to compete. I wouldn't be shocked. Trent Pierce. God, this is fun. I would not be shocked if OU has a strong bounce back next season because it's too good of a football program to be down forever. God, that was a fun reaction. I hope someone clipped that. Again, I'm here for 2.5 hours, guys. So if I'm on my phone for like 2 seconds, I apologize. I think OU, if they make a good OC hire, I think there's a decent chance OU bounces back and wins 9-10 games next year and is in the thick of the playoff hunt. The issue, of course, is going to be the schedule. I don't know their non-con. Just talking about Venables. Let me look at their. Come on. Pull up their schedule. Let's go. So they got Illinois State. They got Michigan, but they get Michigan at home. And then they got Temple. Why are you guys going to Temple? If there's any OU fans here, I think Bishop. Yeah. Sir, why are you going to Temple? Please tell me that game's getting bought. I don't want to see OU at Temple. Okay. But in SEC play, obviously, you got Texas, who's going to be breaking in Arch Manning as their quarterback. They go to Bama. They got Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss at home. And they got Missouri at home. And they got at South Carolina, at Tennessee. Like, that's still a brutal schedule. But I would not be totally shocked if they flip it around and win 9-10 games next year. OU's too good of a program to be down forever. They just are. I mean, Ohio State, I think, is like the only program I can think of that's completely foolproof. You know what I mean? Like, Ohio State is never bad. Like, what's the most losses Ohio State's had in a season in like 30 years? Like 3. But I think Oklahoma's up there. OU's had a couple rough seasons. I'm thinking like 2014 with Trevor Knight. They went 8-5, and then the next year they made the playoff with Baker. Like, 2 years ago they went 7-6. The next year they went 10-3. I think they're too good to be down forever. But we said the same thing about Nebraska. We said the same thing about some other program. Like Tennessee's fallen on rough times. It looks up now. I mean, even though Nico can't throw a pass more than 10 yards downfield, but whatever. Or they can't catch a ball either, to be fair, to Nico. Man, Tigers look fun and fast. What do you know? Who was right? This guy, hopefully. We're 12 minutes into game 1. But I think OU will be fine long-term if they get the right OC. Now, I don't know who that's going to be. The OC everybody's going to go after this year is Indiana's. He's going to be he's just going to be on everybody's list, much like Washington's OC was, and his name is escaping me, and that's really going to bother me. And he ended up taking the Seahawks job. Ryan Grubb. There we go. That guy's going to be – that guy's going to be all over the place getting hired, unless he wants to stay with Cignetti, and I kind of hope he does because Indiana's like the coolest thing ever right now. I like watching Indiana play basketball. Dang, I'm never not on here without a jacket on. I'm showing off the guns right now. I'm kidding. I'm in a good mood because Mizzou basketball is not embarrassing me like they did all of last year. If Aiden Shaw popped for 3, I was going to lose my mind. It made it. I would have stood up. And to step back 3. They did this last year against Memphis. Relax. But yeah, OU, I think OU is just too good to be bad forever. Like, they have too much money, too much. To be down forever. So, anyway, how many Mizzou fans we got in here? What are your guys' favorite memories against Oklahoma? The rivalry is back. Can't say we have too many positives. I think everyone's main memory is one. I think everyone has one main memory, and that's 2010 playing against them at Columbia. Oklahoma was number 1 in the BCS. I think they're like number 3 in the AP poll. Like, they were number 1 unanimous, and this is a week after number 1 Ohio State went down to Wisconsin, and then number 1 Bama lost at South Carolina. Oh, Pierce, you got too high there on that. Now's the time where I can comment on basketball. It's good ball movement. Good thing they stink. at shooting. And we learned that from pregame scouting reports. Throw it. Please play like this all year. I'm going to throw it in so many people's faces on Twitter. But like everyone remembers 2010. They have awful memories about 2007. No one ever wants to talk about 2008 because like 2008, that Big 12 title game, like that was a death march, man. Like Mizzou lost to Kansas, and we all knew what was coming. Look at Ant throwing the lob. That's what, 2? Aiden got 6. 2002 home game against top 5 OU. Okay, I was 6, so I don't remember that one. Let me look it up real quick. Let me go to College Football Reference. 2002 OU football. Could have just typed in Mizzou, but it is what it is. Because it wasn't the big Brad Smith one, 2003 against Nebraska. The Josh Gray bullying. Let's see. 31-24. Mizzou competed. Of course, they have nothing to show stats. Brad Smith, 19-39. Oh, he did throw 3 picks, but 213 yards on the ground. Yeah, all right, fair enough. That's what that man did. You know, I will always argue. I'm probably a little late, you guys. I just saw the Trent Pierce pull up 3. I will always argue that, and we'll talk about Brad Smith, guys. Now we're just kind of hanging out. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll talk about. I'll react to the game, but you know it's kind of hard not to when Mizzou's playing like this. Brad Smith, I will always argue it is harder to take a program from bad to like decent. Like I think the jump from 3 wins to 7 wins is harder than 7 wins to 10 wins. Because I think a lot of that kind of stuff deals with schedule, injuries, luck, a little bit of close game luck, things like that. I think that is easier to do, and it's not easy, but I think it's more on line with everything than the other way around. Because it's just hard to build that culture. And Gary did a great job. And Brad Smith was one of the biggest reasons for that. No, I completely agree. He saved Mizzou football. No, not to dwell on Brad Smith forever, but we do have 2 more hours of this. No, he absolutely did save Mizzou football. Like without Brad Smith, Mizzou's not in the SEC. Mizzou doesn't have the brand it does now, which, admittedly, probably not the biggest brand in the world, but it's a brand, man. Like it's a top 30 to 35 program in the country, and who knows where it is if he doesn't do what he did. I mean, I think that leap from like, is Trent Pierce going to make it? Oh, that would have been awesome. His stroke is so good. It was annoying how bad he was shooting the ball last year because he can shoot. He's going to rip another one. Oh, dunk that. Trent Pierce, dude. If Mizzou's 4 spot is a Mark Mitchell and Trent Pierce playing like this, oh my God. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, Mizzou's not where they are without Brad Smith. And bless Brad Smith for what he did. And we're just kind of going through. If you're coming in, guys, we broke down OU. We talked about the offense, talked about the defense. I didn't give a score. I'm probably not going to give a score. Maybe I'll talk myself into a score because it's just not – I don't think the game's going to be pretty. But, now we're just kind of hanging out. We're doing a Mizzou live basketball watch along. I know it's a football channel, but we're going to keep it football centric with the talk. We'll react to the game, obviously, but I'm not going to go into Mizzou basketball recruiting and all this other stuff, But right now, we're just kind of talking about some memories. OU fans, if you guys want to if you have any memories of Mizzou games and you keep it clean and not too trash talky. The last time we played, I was 15. So, and that was the 38-28 game in Norman, where I thought James Franklin acquitted himself back when games were on Fox Sports Midwest. Like, think about that for a second. Fox Sports Midwest. I think that 2011 game against OU, I remember pretty well because I think that was the game where I'm like, oh, James Franklin's like a dude. They went into Norman. Like, that was a pretty good OU team. I think they ended up disappointing. But they went up 14-3. They ended up losing 38-28, and it wasn't that close because I'm pretty sure Franklin scored at the buzzer. Let me pull it up. Yeah, he ran it in with like 30 seconds left. But Franklin, 16-33 and a touchdown. Also ran for 103 yards. But I'm like, nah, this dude's tough, man, because that OU team, how'd they finish the year? Oh, yeah, that was the year you guys got smoked by Oklahoma State. Who else did you lose to? God, Landry Jones was just like Oklahoma Taj Boyd, wasn't he? You also had Texas Tech at home. Oh, yeah, that was the RG3 year. Joel Myers on the call. Yeah. But I remember, like, there's so many OU games. Like, the only OU game I don't ever remember getting hyped for, and again, I've only watched it. So, like, let's see. How many OU games is that actually? 2 in 07, the 1 in 08, 10, 11. So 5. The 08 championship, I just remember I don't think I watched it. I think I was at a SLU basketball game that night, to be honest. I think they played Houston. I was like, I'm not watching this. Like, Mizzou was coming off an upsetting loss to Kansas. Like, their national title aspirations were cut short months ago when they lost to Oklahoma State, and then they got murdered at Texas. Like, and then they lost like 62-17 or 62-21, and it wasn't like even that close. And of course, Bob Stoops liked running it up on people, which, fair enough. Like, yeah, it was the BCS era. You kind of had to do things like that. I don't necessarily blame Bob Stoops for doing that. Yeah, Bradford killed us. Like, Sam Bradford was just so good at OU. He executed that offense perfectly for what they wanted to do. Trent Pierce 3. I back ribbed it, and Aid jumped a little early. Not a lot of Mark Mitchell, which is a little surprising. He's on the court now, but God, a Mizzou backline of Mitchell, Shaw, and Pierce is so fun. Have you seen Jacob Cruz yet? That's a bad closeout, Caleb. Come on, get out there. But I don't think that game, Mizzou was never going to win that game. Like, Oklahoma was like at the height of their powers, and Mizzou was just like, I think Mizzou going into that game, it kind of felt like they knew they were going to get slaughtered. And that's the only one I've never been excited for. Like I said, I didn't even watch that game. I will watch crap. I watched the entire 2015 Mizzou football season, and I got myself up for every game until I didn't. But Mizzou was just no. Like, they were still a top 20 team. But, man, yeah, like, okay. Well, Mizzou had it at 10-7 in the second quarter. And then it was 55-20. Oh, my God. What did Bradford do that game? 34 for 49 for 384 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that's about, wow, Mizzou couldn't run the ball at all either. No, you had 2 guys go for 100. Fantastic. Love seeing that. Was that Matt Eberflus? The guy that's about to get fired as head coach of the Bears? Is that his defense? Still one of the weirdest things I've ever seen is him being. All right. I think Pierce has had his heat check, so he can settle down a little bit. Yeah, that's a kickball. Let's get the ball into Mitchell. Let's work it around a little bit, and let's slow down. Don't let Memphis go on a heater before the half. But I thought, I was like, Mizzou has no chance in that game. So '07, just devastating. Yeah, I remember that. And then there was the fumble, and it was just it. Yeah, no, I remember that one. That one was definitely on Fox Sports Midwest, which was weird because I think it was like number 6 versus number 11. Yeah, because Mizzou was number 11 at that point. Yeah, they were up 24-29, and then Curtis Lofton. I couldn't think of the guy's name. Curtis Lofton just killed him, and Mizzou lost because life is pain. And then they rematched in the Big 12 championship game, and it was pretty close for a while. And then it just OU ran away with it because, teams do that kind of stuff when you have the talent OU and the talent versus Mizzou. Like, that's the issue Mizzou's always run into as a program. Like, they'll have really great seasons, but then they'll play the programs that are just better, and they can't win those games. And now, to be fair, that's not an issue just Mizzou has. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Wisconsin always has that issue where they just cannot get over the hump. We saw in 2013, Mizzou was really damn good. I think that's the best Mizzou team in my life. They went to go play Auburn. Auburn just had more talent, and Auburn got it done. It is what it is. 14 against Bama. Like, obviously they were never winning that game, so there's no point in even discussing that. But last year they go to Georgia, the SEC East on the line, and drop it, unfortunately. So just one of those things. That 07 SEC, that 07 Big 12 championship game will haunt you. I don't think Mizzou beats – good take. I don't think Mizzou beats LSU either, because I think LSU just kind of bullies them and punks them like they did 07. Yeah, like they kind of did to Ohio State. But, man, like, if we had gotten West Virginia, Mizzou, like, I think Mizzou could have won that one. So super just frustrating. Like, you see how many times Mizzou's come close, and just life's not fair, man. That's why I want Mizzou basketball to be good, and they're off to a really good start tonight. So we end the first half. I've got 45 seconds left. Josh Gray, top of the key. He was looking for Mark Mitchell in the post. Oh, he's going to take it to the rim. Dunk it. Ooh, it got blocked. Mark Mitchell to follow up. Mark Mitchell's such a good player, man. That was a huge – I think that's like the most – I don't understand. Mizzou fans were not excited enough for Mark Mitchell. He's a good player, and he's a really good defender. But yeah, Mizzou OU, just not a lot of great memories there. A lot of disappointment, except 2010. Like 2010 Mizzou, that was a good team. Yeah, there's like a great – I think Bill Connolly did a great article. He's not ESPN. He did a great article about like 70s Mizzou football would be like they'd lose like by 50 to Kansas State, and then they'd go beat Ohio State or something. Like, it was just a crazy time. The 70s Mizzou was just weird. 60s Mizzou was really good. 70s Mizzou, you never knew quite what you were going to get, except they weren't going to compete for anything. But 2010, we can go back to the 2010 game, and man, that was such a fun night. I remember being at home, and I remember being like at home, and like I didn't think Mizzou was going to win. I'm like, oh god, like I've been haunted by 2009 against Texas and Nebraska when they got destroyed in home games against good teams. 07 and 08 against OU, and Texas in 08. Like, I just remember being haunted by some of those games, and I don't think. Let me look up 2010 Mizzou real quick. I don't think Mizzou at that point had looked really good. They needed the TJMO miracle to beat San Diego State, who I don't think was that good that year, if I remember right. They beat Illinois, but they didn't look great doing it. And Illinois, I think, made a bowl game that year. 2009 and 4, like they weren't bad. Miami, Ohio, they looked pretty good. They got Colorado. They went to A&M and dominated, and A&M ended up winning a ton of games that year. They went 9-4. So, like, I should have had more hope. But, like, they get OU, and it's a huge game, and Musburger's there with Herb Treat, and you are looking live at a sold out. And then John McAfee takes a kickoff return, and that's, like, the loudest I've ever heard Faroe through a TV screen. Because a lot of the games that were important later, I was at them, so that was pretty cool. And then Kenny Stills 27-yard touchdown. They came right back. I'm just kind of getting the memories are coming back. They kicked a couple field goals. OU took a 21-10 lead. Jarrell Jackson had the touchdown where he bounced off of an OU safety, and I'm trying to remember who it was. I think he wore number 1. I think he had dreads too. Oh, what was his name? It was too early for Tony Jefferson. And then Russell made a field goal. James Franklin punched it in, and then OU scored and didn't get the 2. And I remember the fans were storming the field, and let me make a banner because we'll probably talk about this game for a little while. And you could argue, now the basketball game's at half, you could argue that game against Oklahoma was the second biggest win of Gary Pinkel's tenure at Mizzou, because it showed that Mizzou could compete with those kinds of programs. Let's see. I'm going to look at the Mizzou halftime stats real quick. Mitchell's only got 4, but Mark Mitchell played all 20 minutes? That doesn't seem right. Yeah, whatever. That was a good half. Good half of basketball. Love seeing that from Missouri. But yeah, no, man, that night was just so incredible, and it showed Mizzou could compete with those big guys. And then when you got to the SEC, and to win an SEC East championship, they had to beat Georgia, they had to beat Florida, they had to beat, and I know Florida was dealing with a ton of injuries when they got there. Jarrell Jackson had a huge night; he was awesome. Let me pull up the box score from that game. I mean, Mizzou outgained them 486 to 402. They ran the ball really well. Blaine Gabbert 30 for 32. He only threw for 1 touchdown, but they shut down DeMarco Murray. Roy Finch had a big night though. Yeah, they ran the ball super well. Jackson went for 139. Really weird stat line. Michael Agnew, 7 catches, 8 yards. That's a weird stat line. Man, it's just, and that's one of the great nights in Faroe history. Like the other ones I can think of is when they beat A&M to win the SEC East. Tennessee last year was an awesome day at Faroe. Like Mizzou, Faroe's a really fun place to be. I've been to. I mean, God, I could go through my win-loss record. 2003 versus Nebraska. Yes, I started watching in 2006, but that is one that's always talked about as that raised the level of Mizzou football. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go through my game-by-game results at Mizzou games, but I think I'm above 500. Went a few years there without a win because I went to Georgia in 16, they lost that one. And I went to South Carolina in 17, they lost that one. But I made up for it because in 18 I went to Wyoming and Arkansas. 19, I didn't go to a game. 20, I didn't go to a game. 21, I didn't go to a game. 22, I saw them play Kentucky. They lost that one. Last year, I saw them play Florida, and they won it. So, compared to when I was in high school, and I went to every game in 2012 and 13 and 14, every home game. Didn't go to a game in 2015. Thank God. That 2015 team. But, man, yeah, that night in Faroe was just – it was magical, man. You had the opening kickoff. I was also at that game. I have a YouTube, my old YouTube channel. I have a video of me on the field with a friend of mine. I don't know if she was in the video. I don't remember. But I have photos of me at that game. Like, nah, man, that was a fun one too, where Baggett hit like 250 yarders to like make sure they didn't get like embarrassed in the first half, and then Matty Mock had a really great fourth quarter. Jimmy Hunt, I think, dropped a touchdown in the first quarter, or a big bomb that would have led to a touchdown. But and Mock had 2 fourth quarter drives. Golden forced a fumble. Russell Hansbrough was pretty big. Like, no, man, that was a fun game too. I remember that game. I do this at work from time to time, where I like go back and I like think about the games I went to, or like the 2013 season and 2014 season, like stick in the 2012 season too, like really stick in my mind. The only season that has, and 2015 stuck with me just because I was, you're hoping for a third SEC East, and the only season that hasn't stuck with me from like a results perspective is 2016. I was at the Arkansas game that year. Oh, I did go to that Arkansas game that year because they were down 24-7 and came back and won. Which that was, well, Arkansas, what are you doing? That team quit. Nate Strong scored a touchdown in that game because he was a big recruit out of East St. Louis, and then they never became anything. Ish Schwitter had a nice game too, if I remember right. But the 2016 game never sticks with me. Campaign. Like, I know they got killed by Florida, LSU. I think they went on the road to South Carolina and played them hard, but lost. Tennessee killed them. I think Locke had a few shots, but that was it. West Virginia killed them. They got Arkansas, like Vanderbilt. They got Vanderbilt. I don't know. They killed like Eastern Michigan or whatever, but in Delaware State, they got Delaware State. They got the Hornets, baby. But like other than that, I just don't remember that season that well. I was just kind of talking. What are your guys' Mizzou memories? And if you're an OU fan, like, what are your memories of Mizzou? Like, I know a lot of older OU fans that like, I've talked to. There are a lot of big memories of Mizzou are like the basketball rivalry in the 80s. That's where their hatred of Mizzou came from. When Norm Stewart was running around Mizzou, and Mizzou was having a lot of success, and Billy Tubbs was doing some awesome things at OU. Like, that's what I remember. It's like, what are your guys' memories? Because I know who's in the chat. I can see who's here. Leave a comment. Like, we're just kind of hanging out now. We broke down OU. We talked about the game. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I just don't think the OU offense is very good, and I don't think the Mizzou offense with Drew Pine is. I don't even think Brady Cook is that good this year anyway. So because they've shown no inclination that it's any good. Where is Texas A&M UCF? There it is. Watch the end of that game before second half. Yeah, Matty Mock, dude, that year, like Tennessee, that score was closer than it should have been. But like, yeah, fourth quarter against Tennessee, he had 2 touchdowns, 1 to Sasser, 1 to Hunt, and Norm Stewart versus Billy Tubbs, dude. Like, they don't make rivalries like they used to. And Mizzou basketball has just been so mediocre for a long time that but Norm and the coaches at Kansas were get into it, and Billy Tubbs and at Iowa State and Iowa State, like they all just hated each other. You don't really see that anymore with Mizzou because it's just been kind of a mediocre program. You're starting to see it in football because I don't think Heupel and Drink get along at all. I don't think Drink and Venables get along very well because I think now, because you had Caden Green coming over, you had Theo Weiss coming over, which I don't think Theo Weiss was like a big deal to OU. That's just kind of one of those like, hey, if you want to go, which it's OU, that's fine. And then the new Inari recruitment. I should have brought that up earlier. That was a big one. That kind of really started all this because you had OU beat writers thinking it was in the bag for OU and getting really cocky about it. And OU fans got really cocky about it, and then it didn't happen. And they came up with all sorts of excuses for why it didn't happen. Oh, his mom wanted him to go to Mizzou. Oh, this. And it just got really toxic on both sides. But Like, what are your guys' memories of OU versus Mizzou? You guys have had plenty of good ones. So, if you just don't be toxic in my chat, please, and we can talk about them. I like to laugh. Shit, I laughed about 2007, which is like the most agonizing moment of my life. That championship game. 2013 was weird because I think Mizzou played UCLA in basketball that morning, and then they played Auburn. And they beat UCLA in basketball. Zach LaVine led UCLA basketball. Which I don't think he was the leader on that team. I think he was the sixth man. I think Kyle Anderson was the leader. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But OU fans, if you're here, leave your comments, your memories of Mizzou. Obviously, Mizzou fans, we have the one big one, and hopefully, we got some new ones started. OU has struggled in the SEC through its first year. Kind of, I don't want to say it was inevitable because it's not, but I have a feeling a lot of people who knew what they were talking about were like, hey, your schedule's brutal. Like, what was Tennessee? Like at home, even Tennessee you had what? You had Tennessee, you got Bama and South Carolina. And like South Carolina was your break game, and South Carolina's awesome. And this is before the season. And then I'm like, okay, then they have to go on the road to Mizzou, who's a top 15 team. They had to go to the road to LSU, who's a pretty good team. Like, your break is Auburn? And you beat Auburn, so fair enough there. But, like, man, UCF for the tie. Ooh, good dunk. I just think everyone kind of knew what OU was stepping into this year. And again, this OU team really reminds me of 2012 Mizzou, where I just think after a year of kind of seeing the physicality of the SEC and what you need to do on the O-line, talent's there. It's Oklahoma. But sometimes there just needs to be a little bit of a recommitment to things. Mizzou before 2013 hired a new OC. OU is going to hire a new OC before next year. I think OU could be okay. Now it's going to depend on that OC hire for Venables, and I'm really excited. Not excited because I don't like OU, but I'm interested to see what they do. Intrigued by what they do, because I think that hire goes a long way to see, okay, what does 2026 look like for OU? Because there's a lot of programs where, like, if their coach leaves, you kind of got an idea of like who's going to be the next guy. For Michigan, it was Sharon Moore, and that's not working out great. But like, Bama didn't really have a succession plan. A lot of these programs don't. But like OU, I have no idea, because I don't know if OU doesn't make a bowl this year or goes 6-6, and then next year kind of the same thing. Like, I just don't know where OU is in terms of like prestige in college football, in terms of being able to poach from like other really good programs. Obviously, OU is going to be at the top, but I don't know if OU can poach from like Washington the same way Alabama did. That's where my intriguedness goes if Venables just isn't the guy. Troy Aikman running the wishbone. Oh, man, that was the entire 80s. God bless Barry Switzer. But yeah, OU is a great football pro. Like I want to crap on OU, but like I'm not going to do that entirely. That's just not fair. That wouldn't make a good show. OU is a top 5 all-time football program. Like I would have them behind Bama. I'd have them behind Ohio State. And then other than that, like you're with what, like Michigan, USC, I guess like Nebraska, like they're above, like OU's above Nebraska. But you're getting to that, like rarefied air, like that was like OU is a top 3 program of all time. But if they struggle this year, or they have struggled this year, and they struggle next year, I'm really interested to see where they are in the hierarchy of college football if they have to make a hire. Because I don't know if they can go out and just poach from like a great program. And OU fans, What do you guys think of Brent Venables? Like, do you think he's the guy there long term? I see how many of you are in here from that channel. Like, do you guys think he's the long term option? I know you're going to have an OC search next year. Are you kind of waiting and seeing on that? Like, if you're an OU fan, why do you or do you not think Venables is the guy? Now, part of my confidence would be the defense this year for Oklahoma is awesome, and it's young. At safety, it's really young. And that's where a lot of the stars are. They know that, like, he can coach a defense. I just don't know. Like last year with Dylan Gabriel, the offense was really herky-jerky. And this year, I mean, he did beat Texas, so that's awesome. But this year the offense has stunk. And, again, I know the receiver injuries this year have just been a huge part of it. I feel like I'm talking to OU fans. I know receiver injuries – have been a huge part of it, but like OU fans, if you're in the chat, man, please, I'm here until the Mizzou basketball game is over, so we're in half. So I am begging you, let me know. Like, I have a couple questions for you guys. Like, do you guys think Brent Venables is the long-term option? You know, I've seen some OU fans on both sides of the coin. Do you think? How's your first year in the SEC going? Have you gone on any road trips? Have you seen any of these environments? Did you go to Auburn? Did you go to? Where else did you guys go? Ole Miss. Did you go to the Grove? Like, I'm just curious. If you're in the chat and what are your memories of OU versus Missouri? Like, you have plenty of good ones. I'm just excited to see this rivalry back. Like, it's so cool that, a lot of rivalries in college football have gone away because of realignment, and it sucks. I'm not paid by anybody where I have to be like, no, realignment's great. I love realignment. It's so cool that Washington State and Oregon State got left in the cold. No, realignment sucks. But it is kind of cool that a rivalry we lost, because Mizzou, OU fans, you don't want to admit it. That's okay. But it is a rivalry. It's not your biggest rival, obviously. It's not even your second biggest rival. But it's third. We're here. It might be third. You can't tell me your rivalry with insert anybody else in the Big 12 was bigger, especially with some of the stuff that's gone on in the portal and recruiting, because now these two schools are butting heads for recruits. It's a rivalry. So I'm curious, like, OU fans, like, what are your memories of games against Mizzou? Like, what's your favorite memory? As long as you don't be toxic, I'm okay with that. Was it 2007, like ending Mizzou's national championship hopes? Was it just 2008 running them off the field and being like, okay, we are a legit national championship contender. We're going to get over and over Texas for the BCS national championship game. Is there a game that I'm not thinking of? 2006 with Paul Johnson. I know you guys came into Columbia and won like a 23-19 game or something, like something weird. Or is it 2011? Like, I don't think it's 2011. Full disclosure. But I am curious to know what your guys' memories are of Mizzou, Oklahoma. And it could be basketball, it could be football. Like, we're kind of hanging out. We're trying to keep it focused on football. React to the basketball game, because this basketball game from Mizzou has been really fun. And number 13, Texas A&M, is in some deep doo-doo. But I see you, OU fans. I know you're there. I can see you. I see you. Please drop a chat. Just be respectful to the Mizzou fans in the chat. Be respectful to me. Please. I mean, you can call me fat or whatever. I don't care about that. I'm losing weight, but just be kind. Like, give your memories. Have you guys been? How are you guys thinking? What do you guys think of Brent Venables? Another question I had: is he the long-term option you think at OU? If not, who even is on your radar of guys? Like, again, we're probably speaking 2 years out. We're probably thinking about 2026. But if I'm OU, here we go from Mr. Robert Buck. I'm an old head. I remember the games that Bailey Sanders, Missouri always played OU tough. I was talking about earlier with the 70s Mizzou teams, man. Like, Mizzou in the 70s was just weird. Like, they would lose by 50 to Texas A&M, and then they'd go play Oklahoma or they'd go play Ohio State, and they just they play them hard. I'm not that old. Obviously, I'm only 28. I've only been watching football for about 15 years, but I'm pulling up the Winsipedia because obviously it is very one-sided. I'm not crazy about this, but yeah, like 79, 24, 22, 24, 45, 23, 21, 17, 27, 20, 28, 27. Mizzou, a couple OU blowouts, but yeah, man, it does kind of look like Mizzou always played them tough, and because it's a rivalry, it is. Like Mizzou gets up for these games. Like Faroe this weekend's going to be crazy. Mizzou's not had the season that I think anyone's wanted them to have, but Faroe is going to be wild this. Between Arnold and Hawkins, I think it's going to be Jackson Arnold. Everything I've seen is it's going to be Jackson Arnold. He played pretty well against Maine, like nothing he should get benched for. I got to get the Mizzou basketball game back on, but we'll get there. I don't have his exact numbers. I remember glancing at it. It's Maine. Like, what can you take away from Maine? I almost said Big 12. That was, geez. OU. There you are. 59-14 against Maine. Yeah, I'm 15-21 for 224 and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Barnes had a big game. Yeah, Sawchuk was hurt. I saw that. 203 yards. J.J. Hester, former Mizzou kid, J.J. Hester. I forgot he went to OU. And I know he's played a bunch this year just because of your injuries, but he's got 13 catches. I just forget that he's there because former Mizzou kid. But by all indications, it's gonna be Arnold. So I talked about this earlier. I'm getting the feeling, reading everything, kind of reading between the lines, it's not going to be Cook. I think he's hurt. I think it's going to be Drew Pine. And I think that instantly makes the game a slugfest back and forth. You're going to feel the hatred between these two teams because I don't think these rosters like each other. And you have guys that played at OU at Mizzou and recruited by OU really hard at Mizzou and vice versa. I just don't think this is going to be a love-loss game. I just think it's going to be an ugly football game in a nice way. I mean that. But no, I don't think Brady Cook's going to play. Now, Brady Cook has the freaking heart of a lion, and who knows, maybe he steps out there. But all inclinations, I don't think it's going to be him because he got the second X-ray on his hand. If he got a second X-ray, obviously they saw something on the first X-ray that wasn't promising. So no, I don't think Cook is gonna play. And we're all kind of waiting on Nate Noel too. See if he's gonna play because that's also a pretty important factor. Like, is Mizzou gonna have their running back that's had some really explosive moments and has shown a capability of running that stretch zone scheme that Carroll just really hasn't. Like, Carroll had a couple big runs at the end of the game, but it was already 34-0. If I'm Mizzou, I'm putting Burden in those situations. I'm putting him in the backfield. I'm doing everything you can to get Luther Burden 15 touches. You're kind of playing for your season here. Like a 10-2 season, like your next two, you have Oklahoma and you have at South Carolina. Two very, very losable games. Man, I think you got to go all out for this one. I think this is like kind of your last stand for the year because I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Like, if you beat OU, that's still a really success, and you win 9 games. That's still a pretty successful season for Mizzou. Mizzou fans can be disappointed, but you can't outright look at 9 wins and be like, ugh, like you just can't do it. It's disappointing. Like, you can be like, kind of like 2008. Where people are like, still a really good season, but man, like they could have done more. But you can't be outright mad at a 10-win season. That's just not, or an 8-win season or a 9-win season. Like 8 wins, we'll talk. It's just not how it works here, unfortunately, yet. But yeah, I just think this is going to be like a 14-12, 13-10, like just slugfest. I think it's going to come down to, and I feel like I say this every week, who can hit like 5 explosives. whether it be in the run game, who can sneak something in the pass game. I don't know how well Mizzou's going to be able to pass deep. They haven't done it all year, and I don't think OU's the team where it's like, oh, now is the time you're going to hit your deep shots. But Theo Weiss came back for a reason. He's if you're going to have he had a huge game against Buffalo. He went for like 150. But if you're going to have a huge game, now's the time. Now's the time. You still should beat Mississippi State. You should beat Arkansas is losable too. I'll throw that in there because you never know which version of Arkansas is going to show up. But man, give Burden 15 touches, Weiss 7-8 touches. Give your best players every opportunity to win the game for you. And if you don't, you're going to lose. I mean, it's that simple. Like if Mizzou's best players on offense don't do what they need to do and don't put up some numbers and don't get touches, which sometimes isn't really up to them, because it feels like every week now Burden's not getting his first touch until the second quarter. And I don't know if that's just like a rhythm thing. I really have no idea what's going on there. Basketball's back. Mizzou 47. Oh, I missed like 3 minutes. Ew. Look at Josh Gray defend. Oh, no, it's Peyton Marshall. Didn't expect to see him. Look at him being physical. No Boateng. All right, so for Saturday night is a blackout. It's like the third Caleb Grill dunk, dude. He just leaks out. Gray has 4 fouls. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't want to talk too much basketball, but I think the hope is we're an hour 20 into this now. I think the hope is with that position that Peyton Marshall's playing more minutes than Josh Gray is. Josh Gray does seem like a great guy, a kid though, like a good culture guy. So, but he just gambled for a steal there and gave up a dunk, and he had a foul coming back the other way. So I don't know what exactly the hope is. We'll see what he does offensively. Good pass. Hit it, Caleb. Oh, God, Grill. This might be a time to call timeout. But yeah, no, I'm super. I think the goal is by the time we get to like February that Marshall is not playing as much as we hit a TV timeout because Mitchell got fired as Marshall. But I'm not 100% sure on that. About to say, I was like, I don't think Boateng's played. I thought Boateng would be a part of this rotation tonight. But yeah, Mizzou and Memphis have played a lot recently. We had the 2 basketball games. Played in football last year. Played in football in 2018. You guys are so crazy, dude. Like, look, this 2018 Memphis team. Let me pull it up. They went 8-6, but they had Darrell Henderson and Tony Pollard. Like, what in the world? Like, how do you have both of those guys? That's just not fair. I think 2019 they had another guy too. Oh, Antonio Gibson. What a run, man! They had Pollard, Darrell Henderson, Kenny Gainwell, Antonio Gibson. Like low key, mid G5 RBU for old Memphis. Like, hey, it just feels like we've played Memphis a lot. In 2018, I think Mizzou beat them like 63-38. Oh. Needed that one pretty badly. I think they're coming off a huge losing streak. I haven't even looked at the Chiefs score. Speaking of football in Missouri. What do you want, Kitty? Oh, I just need to take a breath. Gray has 4. I keep hitting that one. Gray has 4 fouls. Yeah, Josh Gray, he's not going to play a lot of minutes this year, I don't think. I think he'll start. I think he'll play like 10, 12 minutes every night. Oh, you guys, welcome to the channel. I just saw a huge jump. Spent the last hour talking about Mizzou OU. Now we're just kind of hanging back. We're gonna watch. We got the Mizzou basketball game on OU. I know you guys got a game against Linwood. Chill back. We'll have a chat in the comments. Like, what's your favorite memories of Mizzou football? We're here in Missouri live at the Voice of College Football. We will be live Saturday after the game. The Voice of College Football at Missouri. It's one thing after another sometimes with YouTube, and they're just a pain in the butt sometimes. But subscribe. We'll put a link to in the description. There should be a link. If there's not, that's on me. We're not going anywhere. The Voice of College Football is on the way up, and I'm super excited to be a part of it, especially now here with Missouri getting its own channel. I was doing Bama for a few years. That was a lot of fun. Hard not to know everything going on with Alabama. That's what Mark Mitchell does, baby. Little hard not to know everything about Alabama, but I'm so happy now that I can make content for a team I love. So haven't been too impressed with Tony Perkins tonight, but yeah, now we're just kind of chilling out. We're watching the Mizzou basketball game. Texas A&M loses to UCF. It's a top 15 team losing on the road. Big win for Johnny Dawkins and the Knights. So that's cool. Because our football team's having a disaster of a season until they just beat the holy crap out of Arizona, who might be having the biggest disaster of a season time. Man, I'm thinking about Arizona. You look back at years like Arizona had last year, and maybe even Mizzou, and you just look at a lost opportunity like Mizzou had against LSU. And Arizona went 9-3, won a bowl game, but they lost to Mississippi State in overtime. They lost to USC in overtime. And you're like, man, you're a couple plays away from 11 wins. And Mizzou, you're a drive or a stop away from 11 wins. And you just look back and you go, man, it's still a great year. But, God, you just get mad. The only situation I can think of is 2013 Mizzou, 12-1. They would have been in the Cotton Bowl against Okie State. And at 11-2, they were in the Cotton Bowl again, or 11-2, they were in the Cotton Bowl. That was the bowl game they were destined to play it. Unfortunately, Mitchell just got dunked on. That's not good. Don't Kwanzaa this. Memphis is getting up and guarding now. You're going to use that athleticism that they have. Run good stuff, hit your shots, and let's get out of here 1-0. God, thank God for this Mizzou basketball uniform change. OU fans, what's your favorite memory of Mizzou football? Or Mizzou, like OU versus Mizzou? Obviously, I'm not expecting you to be like, man, I really liked it when you guys won the East in 2013, or last year was a lot of fun watching Mizzou, and I'm happy when you took Newaneri away from us, but whatever. What's your favorite memory? Just don't get too toxic. There's Mizzou and OU played some really good football. We had Mr. Buck earlier talk about the 1970s when Billy Sims and Mizzou would go at it, and Mizzou wasn't great, but they would always give OU just a brutal time because that's what Mizzou did in that decade. They would lose by 80 one week, and then they go play a top 5 team and give them all they got. David talked about one year they beat Notre Dame week 1 and Joe Montana. That's just what they did. They were a pain in the butt, or they'd win some games, and they just could never sustain it for more than a couple of games a year. Can't remember the last time it's been since college where I've talked for this long. That's a foul. yeah, now we're just kind of here. We're hanging out. I can't really like kick back because it's just an awkward camera angle for me. But I'm kind of leaned forward. We got 13:42 left in the Mizzou game. Mizzou leads 53-45. Super excited. This is a fun week. We got another Mizzou basketball game Friday. We've got the football, obviously, against football. You know what we've been talking about for an hour and a half. It's a good foul by Ant. Just needs to be a little stronger. So not to have too much dead space. Mizzou needs to pick it up here a little bit. But OU, you know, it's a fun little rivalry. Obviously, you know, I've said it a few times tonight. Mizzou's not OU's biggest rival. OU's not Mizzou's biggest rival, but it is two fan bases that hate each other. And I have found in the SEC, man, my least favorite thing about Mizzou being in the SEC is like, I just don't think Mizzou fans and another team hate each other. I hate South Carolina, but that's because I'm petty. I hate Tennessee, but I don't think like Mizzou and Tennessee fans, like on Twitter, you got the weirdos who are not weirdos. Let's be nice, but like the guys that fight each other all the time. And there's just no, but it's not like a serious, like you get excited for it. Like even like you did against like Kansas State, like they hated each other, or Iowa State for Mizzou. Like these are obviously bigger programs and bigger names. So there's more opportunity. Oh, Ant, come on, buddy. But there's more opportunity for that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm very excited that like finally a team that like Mizzou, like Arkansas and Mizzou kind of hate each other. Like Arkansas, the hatred with Arkansas is so weird and funny to me because it's like, because Arkansas fans think they're better than Missouri. They're like, oh, you're not a rival. We're better than you. Like we're rivals with LSU. And it's like, no, you're not. You stink. And then Mizzou beats them every year. And it's like, oh, well, you know, we just didn't care about the game. It's like, no, you did. You just lost because your program stinks. You've won 8 games twice in what, 15 years since 2011? And you've missed a bowl way more than that. Like, no, your program just stinks. Like, there's a hierarchy in the SEC. And I think like your top tier for now, like we'll see what OU does and some of these other programs. I think your top tiers like Georgia, Bama, Texas. That might be it. Like your next tier is probably like OU, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU. You know, Missouri's kind of teetering on the edge of that. You know, are they more tier 3 with like Florida, Auburn, or are they going to be more tier 2? Like that's something that you have to expand on for years. That can't just like, oh no, you went 11-1 or 12-10-2 last year. You're tier 2. That's not how this works. You got to do it for like half a decade. But super excited to see what this rivalry brings back. For Jake Cruz is finally on the court with 12 minutes left. That's good defense, Grill. That's a good board, Mr. Cruz. I really like Caleb Grill. A little ISO action for Perkins. Good job, Aiden. I like how aggressive Aiden Shaw's being. If you're an OU fan, I'm sorry. I've been talking for an hour and a half. Kind of reacting to the Mizzou basketball game, trying to keep up the conversation. Leave some comments, guys. If you're an OU fan, are you excited for this weekend? Do you think Brent Venables is the long-term guy? We had a pretty lengthy conversation about that. What are your favorite memories of Mizzou OU? I mean, you got a ton. A lot of them have been laughers. Just curious what you guys think, because I'm here We all know how long the end of college basketball games take, so I'm probably here for another hour. So I insist you talk to me. So I'm not just talking to myself because I'm running out of steam on that front. Aiden Shaw hitting free throws. Let's go, buddy. God, there's going to be some fun podcasts talking about this game if Aiden Shaw has made the leap, man. Because if Aiden Shaw has made the leap, man, if you're interior, if Aiden Shaw has made the leap, is Trent Pierce is going to give you these kind of minutes, Mark Mitchell, Shaw, whatever you can get out of the center position, like you're in a really good spot. This other football stuff. I mean, this is a kind of a week across the SEC. Oh God, both teams are in the bonus with 12 minutes left. Guys, I'm going to be here all night. I insist you talk to me. I still got to go to the gym too. Oh man. Let's see. Let's talk about the rest of the SEC slate. Let's keep this kind of focused on football. Florida at Texas. I did see a thing that Lagway might play, but which Napier said was a bit of a surprise because he thought it was pretty serious when he got hurt last week. Georgia at Ole Miss is obviously the big one. That should be a super fun game. If Carson Beck throws 3 picks again, Georgia's going to win that, or Ole Miss is going to win that football game. South Carolina Vanderbilt is actually super intriguing game. What did I say? This is a bad week. This is a pretty fun looking week. Timeout. LSU, Bama, LSU, and Oklahoma, Missouri. Obviously, I'll have both of those games on. That'll be my two TVs. What else is going on this weekend? Let me look at top 25. So if you guys are new to the channel, I always like to talk about this. So my setup is I have 3 TVs. I have my laptop. I try to watch 4 games at once. Not quad box it because that's just not – no. Miami, Georgia Tech. I'll watch that. Like Georgia Tech beat them last year. Is Haynes King going to play? If Haynes King doesn't play, then I probably won't watch a ton of that one, to be honest, actually, because 11 a.m. slate looks pretty weak. Michigan, Indiana, definitely watch that one. How does Iowa State rebound after losing last week? They got Kansas, who's playing everybody tough. Army, North Texas, Clemson, Virginia Tech. Dennis, you going to call timeout, man? God, basketball's fun. If you don't watch basketball, I'm sorry. But OU fans, talk to me. What are you guys thinking about this weekend? I think I have a score prediction. An hour 40 into the video. I'm going to pick Mizzou 14-13. And I'm going to guess, I'm going to make a bold prediction here. OU misses a field goal at the buzzer to lose the game. From like 50 or something. Nothing, not like a chippy, but I pray to God Mizzou fans don't storm the field after that. Who did they beat? Oh, Tennessee Tech almost knocked off Georgia in basketball. That would have been cool. Don't hate to be on my phone for the rest of this time, but God, an hour 40 in. Boys, I'm running out of steam. too long of a break. OU fans, I see you watching. Come on, guys. Give me. I've had 3 questions for OU fans all night. What's your favorite memory against the Missouri Tigers? Do you think Brent Venables is the guy for OU long term? Is Brent Venables the guy? Why or why not? And 3, have you guys made any of the trips in the SEC yet? Like, I'm not talking about Columbia. I'm like, did you guys go to Oxford? Did you go to Auburn? I mean, you've been to Dallas a million times, but are you going to go to LSU? Like, I know I've seen on Twitter a few Oklahoma fans I'm friends with. They're going to go to the LSU game. They're really excited about going to that one. Or like next year, are you going to go to Knoxville? Are you going to go to Tuscaloosa? Are you guys going to make any of those road trips now that you're pretty new into the SEC? And got 2 people in the chat now. We're just going to kind of react to Mizzou basketball. How is that a jump ball, by the way? Whatever. Get a bucket here. I'm just going to announce this game from now on. Get a bucket here. Everything will be okay. Yeah, not a great. This is when you're going to put Warwick. Oh, yeah. Warwick hasn't played at all tonight, has he? Well, here we go. OU fans, what's going on, guys? I see you jumping in here. Mizzou fans, what are we thinking about this basketball game so far? Because this has been an atrocious second half. They're just getting out athleticism here. I think this is a pretty decent Mizzou roster. I just think right now, athletically, they're just getting cooked. Memphis leads. Where's Trent Pierce? He played so well in the first half, and they just took him out. Wow. Guys, we're watching the basketball game. Mizzou just gave up a 15-point lead to Memphis. But OU fans, I mean, are you guys excited for the game this weekend? Like, before the season, this was the biggest game on the schedule for Mizzou. For OU, obviously, I don't think it was because you had Texas. Bama's coming to Norman. Tennessee's coming to Norman for your first SEC game. Like, that's always going to be your biggest game, obviously. But for Mizzou, it definitely was because the thought process was if Mizzou can go 10-2, lose at A&M, lose at Bama, and then beat OU because we thought OU would be – I didn't think OU would be good. I think my preseason projections, I had them at 7-5. But I still thought OU would be like – I thought OU would be a top 25 team in terms of like on a power ranking. But maybe they wouldn't be ranked. But like, it's like, man, they lost to Mizzou, they lost to Bama, they lost to LSU, like they or lost to Tennessee, whatever. Like, man, that's a really good football team. They just had a tough schedule. Like, and Mizzou beating them would have been an accomplishment. Now, like, just all the losers lost. I mean, Mizzou loses 2 big games by a combined score of 75-10. They're done. The playoff hopes are over. Fro's going to be crazy this weekend, though. I mean, if you guys don't think it's not going to be nuts, it will be. Like, Mizzou fans are still really excited about this game. I'm curious how excited OU fans are about this game, because it really does feel like if you don't get this one, you're not going to make a bowl, which at OU, I don't think that would get Venables fired tomorrow or the day after Thanksgiving or whatever when the season's over, or the week after Thanksgiving. But I can't imagine it does great things for 2025. Oh, can't wait for more disappointment from Mizzou basketball this year. And another turnover. Wonderful. Very happy to see this from the Mizzou basketball. I'm just going full Mizzou basketball, guys. I'm an hour 45 in. I'm going to focus on this. I'm pretty excited for this season. I'll be much more excited if they can pull off this game. Although that's probably not going to happen, as now they're just getting cooked athletically. Ball handling edge is gone. Perkins, I've been less than impressed with. Man, someday I'll get to be happy. I'm really excited about this. Oh, my God. What are we reviewing? Are we reviewing that Perkins elbow? God, college basketball refs just don't know which. How are the Chiefs doing? I only care because I have Travis Kelce. This is just a hangout with me now. I mean, I could probably end the video. But I said I was going to do it, but I don't know if I can. I am winded. 2 hours of talking today. After working for 9 hours, like the rest of us great people here in America, I don't know, man. I mean, we broke down everything with OU. Shoot, I even touched on Demonic Williams' recruitment. That was a fun time. I'm not going to win in fantasy this week. Speaking of OU, damn you, Baker Mayfield. I need like 2 more touchdowns out of you. Man, like just going back to football and OU, it's so weird that Lincoln Riley killed 2 programs, huh? No, I'm just kidding. I think USC is going to be fine. I think OU will be fine. But because USC is just so young. But it's not looking good. They might not make a bowl. If they don't make a bowl, that's really disconcerting because you're USC. You shouldn't be missing bowl games. All righty. I've run out of steam. I think I've hit every point I wanted to talk about. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for being here. This is Missouri Live. We're going to continue to watch the Mizzou basketball game, but I'm going to hop off. There's nothing more I want to hit on with OU. Thank you guys for being here. Subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed all of this, except for the last 10 minutes when I've just been kind of like, ooh, I'm tired. And enjoy your college football Saturday. We'll be live after the game, 10 o'clock on the SEC channel. OU fans, you will not see the link there. We only do pregame where, go back, watch a lot of it. I try to respond to comments, but we'll see what happens. Thank you all so much. MIZ, let's see what happens Saturday. Hoping for a big Missouri win.